We talk all the time on Boom Bust about financial services, but tens of millions of people around the world have no access whatsoever to financial products. Simple things like bankings are alien to many. To further discuss this, Stephen Hollingshead, the CEO of ChangeInEx, is with us. Stephen, thank you so much for being with us. What's the extent of this problem? I imagine it's primarily in emerging markets around the world, emerging companies, but tell us what the scope of the problem is.
Well, it's a huge problem, Bart. You know, there are a couple billion people who are unbanked, more than that. But what's really interesting is that there's a billion of those people who have a smartphone in their pocket. They've got access to the internet. And the first kid that I met who asked me to connect on Facebook in a refugee camp before we sat down to talk, it really drove a point home to me, the fact that this kid who took beautiful photographs couldn't sell them online because of post-September 11th, financial regulation. So he can't get a bank account. He can't have a website to get paid for his photos.
So is it really, are you saying that it's an economic development thing? This isn't because, all these people are dying to be on Facebook and have their data sold to somebody. It's really an economic development thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. The only way, there's 80 million people in the world who are displaced right now. That kid's one of them. But the only way to solve that problem, there's not enough tax money, there's not enough philanthropy in the world. The only way to solve that problem is to help them be productive. And if you can't buy and sell online, the World Bank says only 1% of the people in Iraq can make an electronic funds transfer, can use PayPal and that kind of a thing.
So where are I know you work in the Middle East, etc., but what other areas of the world are we seeing this problem? Is Sub-Saharan Africa, any place in Asia, South America?
All of those places are, Mexico, for example, one of the places I work, 32% of the people in the country have a bank account. And it's a well-developed country, Mexico.
What's the percentage like in an industrialized country like the U.S. or in the EU? How many people have a bank account?
It's very high.
80% or something high, yeah.
Adults, yeah.
So what's the answer? How do we address this?
Well, there's a lot of new exciting technology that can get us past. I mean, part of the problem is there have always been unbanked people, but that problem's actually made worse after September 11th when we created the Department of Homeland Security, moved the Office of Enforcement at Treasury over there for a while, and there was nobody to enforce it. So we made the banks the cops and the Patriot Act, and suddenly millions of bank accounts are being closed across the globe. And so the reason that kid that I was talking to in a camp can't get a bank account is no bank in Kurdistan there can prove that he's not a terrorist. And so the central bank president there is terrified that, well, gosh, if one of my banks is designated by Treasury as a primary money laundering concern, the private sector will run away. Look what happened in North Korea, right? So you've got to solve that problem. But we can use these technologies to prove people are who they say they are through biometrics, to get them to agree to lock down their transactions in a blockchain, which is an indelible record of what they're willing to do. And so it's a great opportunity for regulators. I'm a former regulator, as are you, and to extend these financial services to people who really need the fundamental property rights, the right to buy and sell, the right to prove who you are, and the right to prove what you own.
But the actual technical piece, the hardware, they're going to need a phone at a minimum, right?
That's right. That's right. That's why we're focused on going to that billion of those 2.25 billion unbanked people who have a cell phone. And that number is growing very, very quickly, right? The rate of the growth of cell phone technology is growing, in terms of adoption, is growing much, much faster than bank accounts.
Stephen Hollingshead, CEO of ChangeInEx. Let me just say, I mean, what you're doing is not just noble. I mean, I know you're hoping to maybe make a profit from it, but trying to work and get the unbanked these services, something that I think will make all global economies a little bit better. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bart.